Since the dawn of civilization, humans have grappled with the idea of hell. It's a place of eternal punishment, flames, and torment. But where has this vision come from, and how has it evolved and changed over millennia? From ancient mythologies to religious scriptures and psychological depths of modern day fears, hell has many forms. In the Bite Size today, I will take you through a journey of myths, religions, and philosophies that has shaped this chilling idea over thousands of years. Watch the video till the end. If you are seeking clarity in the core concepts, fundamental principles, and basic beliefs of all religions, history, and philosophy, you have come to the right place. Welcome to my channel, History, Religion, and Philosophy Bite Size. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Let's start our story from two of our most ancient civilizations, the Mesopotamian and the Babylonian mythology. According to these mythologies, the place where people go after they die was called Irkhala. This was a shadowy place without any concept of heaven or hell or reward and punishment. This was also called the place of no return. Later on in the video, I'll explain to you how the Jewish concept of Sheol, which is the place where people go after they die, is quite similar to the Mesopotamian concept of Irkhala. Earliest indication of a reward and punishment in the afterlife came via the Egyptian mythology. According to this, when someone dies, they go to the hall of Maat. Maat was the Egyptian goddess of truth and justice. The heart of the dead person was weighed for the good deeds and the bad deeds that this person has committed during life and accordingly punished and rewarded. The weighing of the heart ceremony has symbolic similarities to other religions like Christianity and Islam. In Islam, on the Day of Judgment, the deeds are weighed on a divine scale called Mizan. Those with good deeds will find their way to Jannah, and those with sins will find their way to Jahannam or hell, a concept I'll explain later in the video. Zoroastrianism is one of the earliest religions to introduce a clear concept of heaven and hell and afterlife based on the actions during life. Preached by the prophet Zarathustra, it talks about dualistic battle between the forces of good, which is Ahura Mazda, and forces of bad, which is the Angra Mainyu. The concept of Chinvad bridge in Zoroastrianism is very similar to the concept of Pul-e Sirat in Islam. In both religions, the bridge will lead to paradise for the righteous and good people. However, people with evil deeds would not be able to cross the bridge and fall into a fiery hell. In Hinduism, hell is called Naraka or Narak. It's ruled by Yama, the god of death and justice. In one of the Hindu scriptures, the Garuda Purana, there are several levels of Narak described. However, unlike the other religions discussed so far, the punishment is not eternal. Once the punishment is finished, the body goes into a cycle of rebirth, death, and birth, a cycle called samsara, unless liberation is achieved, a process called moksha. Now that we have discussed some of the most ancient religions, let's turn our attention to the modern religions of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam and explore the concept of hell in these modern religions. The purpose of the bite-sized videos is to break down complex concepts into simple and easy to understand narrations. It requires a lot of effort and research. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share so we can spread the message as much as possible. The concept of afterlife and hell in the Jewish scriptures and religion have evolved over 1,000 years. Moving on from the first temple to the second temple period, the Jewish religion was influenced by the Mesopotamians, Egyptians, Persians, and Greeks in that order. For more information on the evolution of Judaism and the books of the Old Testament, please see my videos on the history of Jews and the books of Bible. In earlier Hebrew texts, the word Sheol is used to describe a shadowy, neutral underworld with no developed concept of reward or punishment or heaven and hell. All the dead live in the Sheol regardless of their moral standing. However, in later Judaism, such as the Book of Daniel and Book of Enoch, you will start seeing the mention of afterlife, heaven and hell creeping in, mainly due to the influence of other cultures. The word used in some of the old Hebrew books like Jeremiah and Kings is Gehenna, later translated into Gehenna in Christianity and Jahannam in Islam. Hinnom was a valley of sin and corruption outside Jerusalem where child sacrifice was offered. The concept of Gehenna was further explored in the New Testament or Christianity. Many New Testament scholars like Bart Ehrman believe that when Jesus referred to hell or Gehenna, he meant a place on this earth and not an afterlife. However, as Christianity developed, it was heavily influenced by the Hellenistic Greek philosophy of Plato. Plato believed in dualism. According to this philosophy, humans are composed of a body and soul. It is the soul along with the bodily resurrection which would be punished or rewarded in the afterlife. It's worth noting here that before the Greek influence of Christian theology, the concept of soul was different, especially in the Old Testament Hebrew scripture. The verse used in Genesis refer to the breath of God, which was thought to be a part of the body, not a separate soul. Hebrew word used here, naphish, has similarity to the word nafs used in the Quran, here for example in Surah An-Nisa. However, the Quran clearly describes the soul as a separate entity. Christian concept of hell was also heavily influenced by the 2nd century Greek-Egyptian astronomer called Ptolemy. In the Ptolemaic model, the earth was at the center, surrounded by spheres of planets, stars, and the heavens, which was a dwelling of the gods. Christianity adopted this model with heavens placed in the outermost sphere and the hell below the earth. Dante, in his Divine Comedy, written in the early 14th century, offers one of the most vivid representations of a Ptolemaic-inspired cosmology in Christian literature. Dante's vision of hell in Inferno consists of 9 concentric circles that descend further underground, each representing progressively worse sins and punishments. The Arabic word Jahannam refers to hell in Islamic theology. It's derived from the Hebrew word Gehenna, which was a valley outside Jerusalem. The word Jahannam is used 77 times in Quran. There are other references as well. These references encompass descriptions of hell, its inhabitants, and the consequences for those who deny and reject faith in Allah. Surah Al-Hijr specifically talk about the 7 gates of hell. And although the Quran doesn't mention the 7 levels of hell, some Muslim scholars have derived this from various hadith and riwayah. These are named as Jahannam, Laza, Al-Hatma, Saqar, Al-Jahim, Al-Sa'ir, and the 7 levels are thought to correspond to different types of sinners and degrees of punishment in proportion to the type of sins they have committed whilst alive. Islamic theology is categorical about the afterlife, resurrection, and the concept of hell and punishment. The history of humanity is a combination of truths, myths, and legends. On this channel, we try to present the information in as unbiased a way as humanly possible. I really appreciate if you leave your comments below and let me know any future topics of interest for this channel. Thank you for watching.